Hey guys, it's Misty, and I'm gonna do a Friday Reads for you. It's been a little while since I did a Friday Reads, but I had some time, so I figured I'd give you a little snippet of what I'm currently reading, which is The Swan Kingdom by Zoe Marriott. To set up the excerpt that I'm gonna read for you, Alexandra, the main character, is a princess. Her mother, the queen, has just been killed. She was attacked by a beast with sort of chestnut-colored hair or fur, and the beast has not been found. Her father, the king, has gone out hunting this beast every day, and is about to come home with something different. So I think that's all you need to know for this excerpt, and I'm gonna get right into it. Suddenly there was a commotion outside. We heard running footsteps in the courtyard and our father's raised voice. As Robin and I stiffened and David rose from his chair, Hugh burst through the doors. "It's father," he said, out of breath. "And there's a woman. I think she's hurt. Quickly, Alexa." I scrambled up and followed him, the other two on my heels, as I ran out into the sunlight, blinking. I saw my father at the center of a crowd of people, mostly men of the household, and stopped dead in the doorway. Father's face was more animated than I had ever seen it, filled with an excitement that lit his eyes and smoothed away the lines of age and care. He looked like a man who had seen the sun for the first time in years. The expression so changed him that I felt a whisper of alarm brush along my spine, and it was only when David bumped into me that I moved forward. The crowd parted before me, and I saw for the first time the woman my father cradled in his arms. She was sleeping, or unconscious, and slumped against Father's chest like a child, tiny in comparison to his bulk. The filmy fabric of her dress stretched taut over full curves at breast and hip, and her face was a lovely oval with plump lips and long dark lashes. Her skin was golden, and her hair cascaded down her back in a shining fall of perfectly straight honey brown. As I stood there, a breeze ruffled the fine strands of hair and sent them blowing over Father's shoulder into a ray of sunlight. As the light caught in it, I saw the deep chestnut glint in the depths of her glorious locks. My breath stopped. I knew where I had seen that color before. Father noticed me. "Good. Run into the hall, child, and have a room made ready. And fetch your healing plants and such." His tone was urgent, but I was rooted to the spot, still staring at the flare of bloody color in her hair. "Go on, girl," he roared. I shook myself and went mechanically back into the hall to find servants and give them Father's instructions. Then I ventured into my mother's workroom and reluctantly chose healing and reviving draughts from among the mixtures on the shelves. But even as my eyes pricked with tears at the familiar sight and smells of the room, my mind was running back over the scene in the courtyard, remembering the look in my father's eyes and the chestnut in the woman's hair. Moments later, Father carried the woman into the newly prepared chamber and laid her down on the bed with a gentleness I had thought entirely foreign to his nature. My brothers followed him in, their faces showing a confusion that echoed mine. "Look after her," Father ordered me. "Make her well. Give her whatever she needs." "But who is she, Father?" asked Hugh. He shifted uneasily. I could tell he was as disturbed as I was by the possessive note in Father's normally controlled voice. "Yes, and where did you find her?" David said seriously, his fingers tapping restively on the bedpost. I went to the table beside the bed, and with Robin's help, unpacked my basket of herbs as I listened to Father's reply. Father began with a great booming laugh that sounded almost giddy. "I was hunting, and I caught sight of something. I thought it was the creature that Alexandra had seen. I threw a spear and missed, but instead of running, the thing circled, and I followed. It led me in a pretty dance, and I chased it for 2 hours, all to no avail. It finally disappeared, too clever for me in the end. I suppose that's the last we'll see of it." He laughed again, carelessly. "I found myself in a part of the forest I had never seen before, and there I wandered, thoroughly lost. Then I heard a sound, a voice. It was so beautiful that it seemed to stop my heart. It called my name, sang to me inside my head, led me to the edge of a clearing, and there she lay, sleeping, waiting for me." "You mean you haven't even spoken to her?" David said aghast. Father laughed exuberantly, clasping David's shoulder. "Son, don't you see? There's no need. She's mine, made for me." I looked down at the woman. Her head was turned away from me and she was perfectly still, Her eyelids did not flicker, nor did her deep, even breaths falter. But suddenly I was aware that she was awake, listening to everything that was being said. I glanced at Robin and saw suspicion on his face. "I do not think this sleep is natural," I said aloud. "Perhaps I should try black root. Anyone with the faintest knowledge of herbs knows black root has such a foul stench that it will usually induce vomiting." I met Robin's eyes and waited. The woman's breathing hitched, then she began to stir. Her soft hands slid along the sheet, the long, delicate fingers fluttering. I noted with dislike that neither a freckle nor a callus marred them. My father was beside her in an instant, clasping one of those beautiful hands. "Do you wake, my love?" he asked. "There is nothing to fear. I am with you." His cooing tone filled me with revulsion. The woman opened her eyes. Robin's head jerked, but he stood fast at my side. Both Hugh and David involuntarily backed away, David making a muffled sound of shock. I gasped, almost choking as the woman's presence expanded into the room like the rich, sickly stench of carrion released from a bloated, rotting body. Her power flooded my senses until it seemed to drum against the walls, deafening, maddening. Somehow the foul power had the opposite effect on Father. Spellbound, he leaned closer still. She gazed wordlessly up into his face, and slowly he reached out one of his great, clumsy hands and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. She smiled. Father sucked in an awed breath at the sight. Then her eyes turned on me. No speck of light reflected from their surface. They were as flat and black as shadows. Her gaze met mine with a force like a hammer blow. I nearly staggered as her will bore down on me. I had never before met such strength, such a relentless, ravenous will, such hunger to crush and destroy. It terrified me. No. Defiance surged, giving me the strength to stare back. I would not bend. I would not look away. Slowly, painfully, I took a step closer to the bed, pushing back with all my might. But her will seemed implacable. I gritted my teeth, pushed harder. I felt something give. An expression of boredom crossed her face, and her gaze flicked away. I swayed at the sudden release of pressure. Robin steadied me, and I sagged gratefully against his arm. My eyelids felt stiff. I blinked furiously. Who was this woman? What was she? That is from The Swan Kingdom by Zoe Marriott. This is out now, and you can pick it up. The full synopsis as well as links to the book are below, and I will be reviewing this in Fairy Tale Fortnight, so keep an eye out.